All right, time now for business editor Richard Southern joining us. Porter planes haven't yet left the ground in more than a year, but that airline planning a pretty big expansion once it does return to the skies, Richard.
Yeah, boy, this is some news today, right, Mark? Porter is buying jets. They're going to be flying out of Pearson. They're going to be going to destinations much further afield, possibly Los Angeles, Vegas, the Caribbean. Porter says it's buying up to 80 Embraer E195 jets for $5.8 billion. The planes will have a transcontinental range. They're going to start taking delivery the second half of next year with these new planes. Porter is going to continue to fly out of the Island Airport with those Q400 turboprops, but expanding to Pearson will really allow the airline to compete with the likes of Air Canada and WestJet. I talked today to Michael DeLuce, the president and CEO of Porter, and he says he's going to compete with those big boys by offering better service, he says.
It's an expansion plan that couldn't be contemplated out of Billy Bishop because of the range limitations of that airport and the aircraft that serve it.
Will they feature a business class cabin?
I'm not going to announce any of the product offerings yet, but I can tell you we redefine short-haul travel, and we intend to offer a level of service that is not available on any competitor airline in North America today.
Any of the government aid money is being used to purchase these planes?
No, absolutely not.
Competition like this is usually good news for us, the consumer, in that it could drive prices down. Pretty big deal there, eh, Mark?
Big deal to move beyond the Island Airport, that's for sure. That's part and parcel with what Porter does. So we'll see what happens. To air travel.
Yeah, that was the big selling point. Sorry to interrupt you, Mark, but the big selling point was you don't have to go to Pearson. So it'll be interesting to see if they can still sell it when you got to go trek all the way out to YYZ.
Exactly. Big purchase. You're going to need the marketing effort behind it as well. All right.
Yeah.
Air travel of a different kind, if we want to call it that. The lack of air travel, I guess. Richard Branson back here safely on Earth, but some pretty significant business implications as a result of heading up into space.
Yeah, he won the billionaire space race, Richard Branson, traveling close to space. There's big debate about whether or not he actually went to space, but this is what he did yesterday. He went up in his Virgin Galactic spaceship. It dropped from the plane. The rockets ignite, and they brought him up, close to the boundary of space. They have a hypothetical boundary called the Kármán line, Mark, 62 miles above sea level, that a lot of people agree is space. He didn't cross that, so there's debate about whether or not he actually went. But this is big news for his Virgin Galactic spaceship program. They're going to start taking paying passengers on these trips starting next year. A ticket is $250,000 US. You only get to float around, as Branson did, for 5 minutes before gravity starts pulling the ship back down to Earth. They've sold more than 700 tickets, though, Mark, including tickets to Tom Hanks, Justin Bieber, and Lady Gaga. Fellow space rocket billionaire Jeff Bezos will make a trip to space on July 20th aboard his rocket. Now, if you won the Lotto Max, Mark, would you pick up one of those $250,000 tickets?
I'd be game. Yes, the ability to go up into that space is one of those things that would be pretty interesting for sure.
It'd be pretty fun, and they maybe will use this for faster point-to-point travel, not just going up to space. That's kind of the long-term hope for this.
Although I should say it's not quite what Felix Baumgartner did 5 years ago when he actually jumped
out of
from that height and back down to Earth. Not quite there yet.
We'll take a pass on that one, yeah.
Indeed. Okay. South America, weather conditions there are sending the price of coffee through the roof.
Yeah, and it'll probably start showing up at the grocery store or at our trip to our local coffee place. Mark, price of wholesale coffee at its highest in years. It's up 60% from last summer. Very dry conditions in Brazil. Very much the reason. Brazil produces about a third of the world's coffee beans. So they've had a major drought there. Transportation issues for beans also a factor here. And people are actually drinking a lot of coffee, even though they're still working from home. Many, they're still brewing coffee. Dry weather in Western Canada also setting wheat, canola, and barley to record high prices.